Morning. Welcome to Founders Week YQG. My name is Myrtle Dunipad, and I'm the Youth and Entrepreneurship Advisor here with the WindsorEssex Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center, a division of Invest WindsorEssex. This event is all about bringing together entrepreneurs, startups, innovators, changemakers, entrepreneurial support organizations, local leaders, and community. Our goal is to celebrate, educate, connect, and build momentum and opportunity around our region's startup community. While this event is virtual, we would like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We are grateful to work, learn, and live in this area. This week would not have been made possible without our generous sponsors. I would like to thank the Province of Ontario, the St. Clair College Alumni Association, the Job Shop, Libra Credit Union, Workforce WindsorEssex, Baker Tilly Windsor, Alpha Core Group, WentureIt, EPICentre, Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center, Genesis Entrepreneurship Center, WEtech Alliance. Thank you for putting founders first. For more information about our sponsors, please check out our WeTechAlliance.com/foundersweek. Today's session is hosted by Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center. The Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center provides entrepreneurs and existing small business owners with the training and support necessary to start and grow their businesses in Windsor and Essex County, from ideation and concept through startup and operation to the early growth and expansion stages of business. SBEC works in partnership with the Province of Ontario's Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and is part of Small Business Centres Ontario's, a network of offices that serve Ontario's small business community. To learn more about what we do and how we can help you, please register for the event, leveraging the WindsorEssex Entrepreneurship Support Ecosystem workshop on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Now to the housekeeping items. To be considerate and accommodate everyone attending today, we are doing things a little bit differently. This meetup is leveraged by Zoom. You might not be able to see all the attendees, but you will have ample opportunity to engage with our guests during the Q&A session. Feel free to use the chat feature located at the bottom of the video window to engage with session attendees. Should you experience any technical difficulties, please send a message in the chat box. This session will be recorded. A video file, audio file, and relevant links will be available on WeTech Alliance's YouTube channel and included in the attended follow-up email. We are also streaming the session live on WeTech Alliance's Facebook page. And finally, let's make sure everyone knows Founders Week YQG is where it's at. Be sure to share your hashtag Founders Week YQG experience on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Now I would like to welcome our moderator, Sarah Haefling, on stage. Sarah Haefling is a 25-year-old entrepreneur who at the age of 24 started her own podcast, Made It Happen, to highlight the voices of female entrepreneurs. Since launching in May of 2020, the podcast has grown to have thousands of downloads, many incredible sponsorships and partnerships, and reached number 6 on Apple Podcasts top entrepreneurship podcast charts in some countries, number 36 in Canada, top 40 in Greece, and top 50 in Mexico. She has interviewed female business owners and changemakers from across Canada and the United States, including Forbes Top 30 Under 30, influencers, mental health advocates, local business owners, and more. From starting her own podcast, she then went on to start her own podcasting agency, Elevate Podcast Co. With her background in business and marketing, and she now helps businesses and individuals launch and grow podcasts they are proud of. Sarah was the top winner in the Take Your Shot event, a pitch competition for young entrepreneurs, and the top winner in the Venture Women Final Pitch competition for female entrepreneurs. On behalf of the Founders Week YQG team, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Myrtle, for that introduction. On today's Fireside chat, please welcome Sawyer Telegdy, founder of Shred Shop Inc., who will be sitting down with us to share her founder story, exploring what drove her to start her business, discuss any trials and tribulations she's faced along the way, and how she hopes to positively impact the industry she is in. After 15 years in the fitness industry, 10 of those years competing in women's figure bodybuilding, and 3 of those competing in CrossFit, Sawyer felt it necessary to create a haven for members to work on themselves like she had done in the gym years ago. A place to leave the stress of life outside, a place to find inner peace, build self-esteem, find motivation, be part of a healthy, supportive community, and cultivate a security and confidence they need to succeed in all aspects of their lives. The Shred Shop is her opportunity to give each member a place of salvage, a retreat from everyday life, a break from the chaos and business of balancing all that we must in our everyday activities. This is your place, your shop, your opportunity to leave life at the door and indulge and push some physical, mental, and even emotional boundaries. So I'm so excited to be speaking with you today, Sawyer. And how about we start things off with a few rapid questions? You all set?
Sarah. Yes, thank you guys for having me. This is wonderful. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. So how about we start off with 3 fun facts about yourself?
Oh my God, I knew you were going to ask that. I like to keep my fun facts out there and genuinely things that people would never think to ask. So I'm missing a tooth. I had a root canal gone backwards, sideways, all kinds, and we can all relate to having bad dentistry or painful dentistry. So I vouched to have the tooth pulled, and I guess there were some complications when I was under the anesthesia. And when I woke up, they notified me that they had to take chunks of my natural jawbone out and replace it with cow bone because there was like an issue with the actual jaw itself. So now I have some cow bone in my face, which I'm super proud of. That's a fun fact. No, not many people know. One time I was eating, this actually happens more frequently than I'd like to admit. I eat on the go a lot. I talk and eat a lot. I laugh and eat a lot. And it's very common that I get articles and pieces of food lodged up my nose from like, I just, like I laugh and it goes up. And one time I had to seek medical and almost hospital treatment because a full meatball went all the way up my nose and into like my nasal cavity. And it was an Italian spiced meatball. So it was very zesty up in my face. And I had to get on antibiotics, and it was like a process because the meatball went up my nose. So lesson learned, don't eat and talk at the same time. Slow down when you chew. Last fun fact about me. I had some surgery last year, and this is a 2-parter. Number 1, I'm very big into women's health. Obviously, female owner of a female predominantly run and owned, and we service a lot of women in our facility. I'm always very open with my personal podcast or with members on the floor just about women's health in general. And I always talk about listening to like your bits in your downstairs because it's always telling you something, whether you want to listen or not. And I did not listen to that. And I ended up again hospitalized, and I almost died last year because of an infection I didn't know of that I had. But the good part is that now my incision makes it look like I have 2 belly buttons. So if you ever catch me on the beach or in a bathing suit or in a tank top, it looks like I have like 2 belly buttons. So if you didn't know, you would literally just think that's how I was born.
Wow, those are some fun facts.
Right? Exactly.
And what business do you wish you had founded?
Oh, honestly, it's funny you asked that question. I think about this all the time when I drive past Penalty Box, like local, right? I mean, everybody wishes they founded Amazon or whatever, but when I talk like local businesses here in Windsor that I truly believe have captured a market, have done an incredible job with expansion. Their second location, they didn't even hire staff, like they adapted to what they needed. Not staff, they didn't hire like a wait staff, right? Their new location is around the corner from my house, and it's just walk in, grab and go. And I just think it's so genius. You know, they keep their sauce a secret, like everything about what the penalty box does with that chicken delight. I am so envious that I did not think of that first. And just the way their whole marketing strategy, their whole business strategy, every move they've made in the last 10 years, I've been in awe of. I give them all the credit. And the family, they're such an amazing, like, I know the family, they're such an amazing group of people, you know, so that just adds to it. I wish I was a part of it.
Definitely agree.
Mhm.
And your favorite book?
So I'm not like the biggest reader unless it's something to further like my knowledge in my industry. But if you do catch me reading anything, it's likely a biography on a musician. So I'm really big at doing that kind of stuff, of reading biographies on musicians. I love their life. I love their story. I love learning everything about music. That's my biggest passion. So if I can watch a biography that has to do with that, that's what I would read, watch, anything. That's it. That's the only book I'll pick up that's not like involved in fitness or working out or exercise.
Definitely a lot of exciting people to learn about in that industry. So to start things off, how about we start with having you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your business?
Yeah, so I'm 34. The Shred Shop has been in business since my 30th birthday. We're going into our 4th year now operating. I mean, you mentioned a lot in the entrance and my kind of little synopsis, your introductory there of what it is that we do. And yeah, I was a bodybuilder. I was a scrawny little girl in high school that had all brothers and boy cousins, and they were always in the gym circuit, always working out. And like, I'm going back to like early, like 2001, like early on, before there were a lot of females that were bodybuilding. A lot of females were doing that stuff. I kind of just got into it. My parents were both diagnosed terminally ill in the same like 2-week span. And that put a lot of things in perspective for me in terms of like how short life can be. Instead of dreaming about wanting to do this, like just do it. Like just do it. So I had no idea what I was doing. I enrolled myself in my first figure competition when I was 19 years old, turning 19. And I had a trainer in the industry who was fantastic. And within 6 months, I just ended up half naked on stage and hoped for the best. So I learned a lot. I continued to compete from that point, and I continued to grow in a gym setting. And I think just it all happened, the whole from me going on stage to me opening up my own facility. It was just a very organic process. It was not something that I had planned on doing. It was people taking notice of me in the gym, then seeing what it translated to when I would come home with trophies and wanting training from me, asking for my advice all the time. And I thought, you know, there's a market for women, especially, who understand that there's more women that know more about their bodies that could help them. Right. So I think building that camaraderie, I took on a few personal training clients. Then one of my best friends at the time owned a small studio where she did group classes. And I wasn't really familiar with the group training. I'd always done individual sports. So for free rent, so I could train my one-on-one clients in her facility if I taught 3 or 4 of her group classes every week. That was a trade-off. And then I just fell in love with it. And I got to see what the difference was between individual training and group training, and the motivation and the morale and the community. And then that kind of led me in the CrossFit direction. And then to see, you know, how these people come together, and it doesn't matter what your belief system is, or what the color of your skin is, or where your background has taken you to this point. Everyone, like music, everyone is there for the same reason. And I just was very, very intrigued by all of that. So I worked for a big box gym after I left that small studio. And I started boot camps as well as personal training. And once again, the boot camps they just took off. The team training, I was winning awards for team trainer of the year. Like the numbers were just incredible. And I kind of outgrew the facility. I just outgrew any room in a larger facility to have 20 to 30 bodies in a class. So I said, this is the time. Let's real estate shop and let's find a little humble beginning. 2,000 square feet on the corner of Jefferson and like the expressway there, right when you get off. That was our very first location. And within 6 months, we had to expand to our current location down on Erie Street in 2019. And then literally last week, we just opened our second location now here where I am on Malden, corner of Malden and Normandy. So it's definitely been a crazy couple of years. It's like, if you had asked me, 20-year-old Sawyer, where would you be in 10 years? This is not where I thought I would have been. I was a Starbucks manager. I was in HR. I was, I thought that that's the career I wanted. And then when they say make your passion your career and you'll never work another day in your life, truer words have never been spoken, because that's what we do here every day.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, it's amazing to see, the growth just within those 4 years. And you brought up a great point there too, where, if you were to talk to 20-year-old Sawyer and sort of that, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe in that position right now? And, advice for other founders that might be just in those starting stages?
Yeah. The biggest one is stop talking and start doing. And I mean, that could be applicable to anything, right? But truthfully, I've sat down with so many young entrepreneurs, clients of mine, that want to pick my brain. They're in their own industry and they're looking to potentially, expand on their own. And they ask me for advice. And then, months later, I circle back and they're still asking for advice. And I'm sitting here like, get up and start doing, like, look for a retail space, start to like go on Kijiji and buy some things secondhand that you need, because talking about wanting to do something does not give you the experience to know whether or not you're going to be able to handle it. It doesn't give you the experience to know, is this the right move for you? And I feel like so many people spend a lot of time researching, and too much time researching. By no means do I say just plug your nose and jump in, not knowing how deep the water is. But there comes a time where a lot of young entrepreneurs, they're still scared to fail. And I think that in order to learn that you're not going to fail, you're never going to break through that barrier if you don't try. So for me, it was like, I literally quit my job and then spent 30 days finding a location. And I was like, I'm just unemployed for 30 days. But that taught me so much growth, so much. I just had to do it. That would be my number one thing, is just stop talking and start doing.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And, with that too, I think with founders, a lot of it is, learning from other entrepreneurs and those who have been there and stuff. So throughout their journey, is there sort of advice you would have given to yourself? Maybe it was I wouldn't even call anything a mistake, because I think it'd be more of a lesson learned, but has there been sort of a lesson that you've learned along the way that, you would sort of give other entrepreneurs that heads up beforehand?
Yes. And I still struggle with this one. Do not assume that everyone else has it all together. That still is my biggest misconception of other business owners. That was a huge obstacle for me personally to overcome, was this constant sense of overwhelming and this constant sense of just that, like, I didn't know what I was doing. And I would look at all these other entrepreneurs and people I had grown up with, and I'm like, how do they know what to do? Like, how are they doing that? How do they know that that's the right move? And it's the secret is they don't know, but they try it out, and it works or it fails. But to be able to know, if I could rewind and not put so much pressure on myself and not be so stressed out and lose so much sleep over thinking that other people had the answer and other people were doing it so much better and they seemed to have it all together versus me just faking it till I make it, that would have been very, very good to know. I would say that anyone who's looking to start a business, do not assume that other people who have been doing it longer are doing it with their eyes closed, because they are, pardon my French, shitting their pants every day, for sure. And if they're not, they don't care enough. They're not working hard enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, I definitely agree. And I think that it's great reminder for anyone in it, and, trying to build that business. And there definitely is those low times, where it's a roller coaster ride owning a business. And how is it that you keep yourself motivated when, there is those down days or those obstacles that are in the way? What is it that keeps you going?
Yeah, so there's a few things. The first one is probably some of the best advice that I was ever given um, was in a bathroom stall, oddly enough. I feel like I have to tell you where it came from because it just makes the information so much better. A woman that I knew in the gym circuit, very intuitive, very holistic, could hear me, kind of on the phone with my mom. I don't know who I was talking to, obviously multitasking with my headphones, having a pee mid workout. And I'm washing my hands at the sink and she kind of pokes on my shoulder and I remove one headphone. And she says, I hope you don't mind. Like, obviously, you were having a personal conversation in a public space. So I clearly heard what it is you were saying. She said, if you wouldn't mind if I could share some advice with you. I said, please. She said, when I get scared, when the fear is overwhelming and overpowering, and it sometimes cripples my ability to want to push past that, you need to think past the fear. You need to think, if I'm brave in this moment, what changes for other people? What am I doing on the other side of this fear? And I was like, oh my God. So that's my driving force is every time, and it happens every day, I feel like, oh God, right? Every day I have to make a decision that is make it or break it. And every time I feel nervous or I feel paralyzed, like this is it. If I make the wrong call, everything falls apart. I think, but if it's the right call, my members, my community, they are the one that they need me to be strong right now. They need me to show courage and to show strength in order for them to benefit for what I'm about to do. So I think putting that into perspective, that it's not about me, and every business owner will tell you it's not about them. We make $0 for the first few years. It's not about my paycheck. It's about my staff's paycheck, right? It's not about me making it through the pandemic. It's me providing a place of salvage for my members to come back to for their mental health when this is over. And I have to be here when it's over. I have to give my staff a paycheck no matter what, because they're relying on me to feed their families. So that is what drives me. That is what keeps me motivated and keeps me positive, is thinking of the people who are benefiting from my decisions.
I absolutely love that. And I definitely agree. I'm glad you shared where that advice came from.
Yeah, right. It just makes it better. Yeah. And then I think, honestly, I think the second part, and we help a lot of our clients navigate through this, is just feeling it and knowing that it's okay, right? Like I give myself that 5-10 minutes. I get hit with something and then I go, okay, hold on, pause, hit pause, feel it, set the timer for 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I need to get on with it. I need to get on with it because again, and it's a two-parter. I circle back. If I spend my whole day wallowing in this, who benefits that? What am I doing? What am I doing? Now my members are going to feel that energy. My staff's going to feel that energy. You can't. If you want to be successful, you can't. So those are the two things. Feel it, have it. Don't be hard on yourself for it. Understand that it's normal. And then factory reset and start again, because you need to think past the fear, past the anger, past the scared, past the overwhelming. You need to be on the other side of it.
100%. I think that's such a great piece of advice and such a great reminder for anyone there. And some viewpoints there that you brought up there too, is, there's always sort of those goals people have in business. And so do you do some goal setting with your business, and how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, we definitely goal set. I think I might do goal setting a little bit different than the average. I mean, we're in an industry where your goal setting potential is genuinely limitless, right? Like we're not just sales based where it's like, these are the targets, these are the financial targets, right? We have human beings changing their lives in here. We have human beings going through rehabilitation post-injury that are looking for any kind of progress in whatever that looks like to them. We have weight loss journeys. We have muscle gain journeys. We have mental health journeys. We have so many opportunities where we could gauge success, where we could gauge setting a goal and attaining it. So I host weekly staff meetings, and that might be a bit aggressive for large corporations, but I mean, I have a staff of 8 women and I need their attention for an hour a week altogether. When we get together, it is more of like celebrating our members and celebrating what we've done for them. and how that made us feel. Because if we're not motivated as trainers, our members aren't motivated, right? So my goal setting has always stemmed from, again, a very organic place of what positive feedback did we get this week? And what positive feedback, who's our target for this upcoming week? Who are we going to kill with kindness, change their attitude? Who's coming in here that we're going to push because we can see that they've expanded their abilities in here and they need a push and they need to feel a difference? We kind of goal set around a member experience, and then the numbers follow, right? Like, yes, I have a target in my head. I mean, I know my baseline. I know how much money I need to keep the lights on, to keep my payroll running. I know that. But I find that when we shift the focus to member experience, the referrals come in twice as fast. The Instagram messages come in twice as fast to book consultations, because members are reposting, members are putting their own posts on social media, members are singing our praises. They are doing the marketing and they're doing the advertising for me. I don't have to budget for that anymore. I don't have to financially, put time or energy or money aside to cold call clients or to make a list of people who came and never bought, because no one is coming and not buying, because their experience is so incredible that they want to be a part of it. So it's kind of like our goal setting is very different, I think, from a lot of companies. But for anyone who is in the service industry, as so many of us are, I think that you need to pull away from what your monetary monthly value goal is and gear towards more what your experience goal is, and watch the shift in finances, because it's all encompassing. If you're providing a service, obviously, if you're providing a service.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a great approach to come with it. And I think that probably brings it back to the whole reason why you wanted to start this gym in the first place, right? That's what keeps you going. And with that too, is there sort of, do you want to talk about a little bit about, starting the business in WindsorEssex specifically, and sort of the opportunities that are here for business owners?
Yeah, I mean, it's the attractiveness to opening up a business in your hometown. Like, let's address that, right? If I would have been scared if I opened up in Toronto. I felt like I had to work much harder, and the stress load would have been much bigger to start off that way. In a city where you maybe don't know a lot of people, you don't have childhood friends that are now looking to see what you're up to. So I think Windsor provides a lot of opportunity in the sense that if you're born and raised in Windsor, or if you're born and raised in your hometown, humble beginnings, start where clients and people are going to be interested in what it is, because they know you, right? They're all about the why. They're all about the who. If they recognize a friendly face, that's probably going to be the first person they call. So I think Windsor, for me, is home base. It was a no-brainer. The Windsor small business community, right? You guys have been so wonderful in offering so much support. I did a ton of classes. Myrtle helped me with my business plan. There were a lot of things at the beginning that seemed really overwhelming. And you guys really, really helped trying to make the unseen seen, and try to teach us how to navigate uncharted waters when we're feeling overwhelmed and like we don't know what to do, right? I was like, I just know how to pick the weights up and put them down and motivate people. This whole chart building and nonsense, because without loans and without the banks involved, right? Like, you need that if you're looking for some sort of financial support. So I think Windsor provides a lot of opportunity for young businesses. The size of the community, the size of Windsor as well is beneficial, because we have multiple locations now that are far enough away to make it convenient for each person who lives in LaSalle and or Windsor, but close enough so that when I offer an all access membership and people want to come to both, they're not driving across the universe to do that. Right. So I think the proximity, the geographic location, being close to the States now that the border's opening, I think that Windsor provides a lot of economic growth for small business. And I'm only hoping that now that things are kind of getting back to normal, people are going to be reminded that, our city does provide a lot for us. It was scary there for a while during the pandemic when restaurants were closing, and, it seemed as though the agenda was very hit the small businesses, right? No problem going to Costco with 5,000 people, but no more than 10 people in a gym. It just seemed very, very unsteady. And that was frightening for a lot of small business owners to think, are we going to become obsolete? Like, are they slowly starting to phase us out so that it's impossible to open a small business and we'll only be left with Walmarts and McDonald's, and we'll never have a restaurant, we'll never have a gym? That, like, what is this looking like? And I think now that we're all kind of getting our faith back, now's the opportunity. Like, I saw the opportunity to open a second location. People probably think I'm crazy, but people are bouncing back and they're excited and they are remembering, oh yeah, we do things. We have passion. We enjoy community. We like going out and about. I think it's now is the time for economic growth, I think, personally. And I think Windsor's the place to do it for sure.
I definitely agree. And I think that too, with things going back to normal, what sort of trends do you think you're going to be seeing in the fitness industry? And, with your gym, is there sort of, things coming up that you'd like to share? And, what's next?
Yeah. What's next is to never end up on Zoom again. That's the dream for a workout. Okay. For anyone who is at home doing workouts, don't pretend that that was the same as being in a gym, because it is nowhere close. Now, if you are someone who always worked out at home and that is your thing, you've got children, you're very self-motivated, power to you. But from, like I said, that community, that mental health component of having people together, that is very important. And from a trainer's perspective and a business owner's perspective, I can't think of anything less motivating than getting on a screen like this and trying to coach someone with barely any background sound or background music, right? Because compared to what we do in here, it was just night and day. It was awful. So the most important thing that I'm looking forward to is to never have to do that again. I just wish I could, outside of having meetings, I'd like to delete Zoom off my computer forever. That's number one. Number two is our community involvement. That's what I'm really looking forward to. We've had no issues, members coming back in. Everything is great. Classes are running, classes are full, morale is great. But our community involvement. So, we always do a hiatus house every year for the women's shelter for domestic violence is a huge one for us. They really are in need at Christmas time. They have, I think, 40 to 50 beds, and they get overwhelmed over the holidays with north of 150 women and children in there. And funds are very limited, and resources like tampons and pads and diapers, like essentials, right? So we always do a drive. And last year we raised so many items, Sarah, and then the lockdown came in December and they weren't able to take any of it. They weren't allowed to take any brand new donations. Like, these are, I went to Shoppers, I bought them, I put them in a bag, I'm bringing them to your doorstep. They were not allowed to take anything. So that broke my heart. There were a few other organizations, like for Women's Day, we do a big one as well. And so I'm really looking forward this year. Actually, next week, we put our boxes out on the 15th on Monday for our hiatus house charity. It's a doorstop. Anyone in the city, if any of you are looking for a Christmas charity to give back to the females who are living in domestic violence, I don't even want to, like, I don't even think I could imagine what a lockdown and being refined to your house would do for women in that position. So I think this year I'm just gonna do whatever I can for them. So our social media will always be updated. We'll be launching next week all of our information. So if there's anyone that wants to, follow shredshop.inc and find out more information, or email us or check out our website, how to donate, how to drop off, how to get involved. I'm really looking forward to that. That's my biggest thing, is getting back out there. I'm the vessel. I have all this power because I have, 300 plus members behind me. So we have the ability to change the world if we put our mind to it. And I'm really looking forward to doing that this year.
Well, that's so great to hear. And I think, that's such a great initiative, and great that, being able to get involved in the community. So thank you for sharing how people can get involved with that as well. And, we talked about there too, some things with the pandemic that we're going to be leaving behind, like Zoom workouts, but has there been sort of anything you've incorporated into your routine, or, staying organized from being in the pandemic that, you're going to actually keep going forward?
Oh, what am I going to keep going forward? Honestly, a lot of like our mental health practices. I think that was very challenging time. Especially me, I get up at 5, I go to sleep at 10, I'm at work from 5 a.m. to like 7 to 8 p.m. I just love it. I love being here. Workaholic for sure. struggle with work-life balance for sure, but that's, something that I'm working on. The mental component of being forced to stay home and be confined and not be able to do what I love for months and months and months, I did have to develop some crazy mental health, like calming. I don't want to say meditation because I'm still really not good at it, but just like being very self-aware of how I'm feeling. And we did a lot of exercise. Like we would get our staff together once a week, even though we were locked down. We would get, well, that's my bubble, come over to my house and let's just, talk about what we're afraid of, talk about what we're worried about, like having an outlet. We still do that now. So when I have those meetings with my staff, it is very mental health focused because I think it's going to take some time for all of us to kind of build that trust again in the community and build that trust with the government that like this isn't going to happen again. We're all still kind of like waiting for that other shoe to drop. That's number one. Number two, the follow-up with clients, the follow-up with each other. Making sure, right, we had to do everything virtually. So if you asked me a question and I gave you an answer and then I didn't see you on a virtual encounter for a week or so, it was on me to follow up to find out how that went. And I think that's a very important practice for all business owners, is to follow up with the things that happen in your daily routine. If you have a client or if you have someone who is dissatisfied, or if you have someone has questions, and this is in any scope, expressing to them that you're still thinking about them and that you genuinely care about what the question was, what they needed from you, what they were worried about. Following up is so important. It really creates that bond, and they know and they trust that you have their best interest at heart. And you weren't just, flaking them off. You weren't just in the moment answering a question. We developed a very, very tight bond with our community during the pandemic because we had to constantly follow up. And it built a lot of trust. Like our community knows that we do everything from our soul, from our heart, that we genuinely care about them. And I think a lot of that has to do with always circling back. And then that doesn't mean to say I'm a robot and I remember every conversation that I've had, but the minute someone walks out of my eyesight, I take my trusty pen and I go to like my archaic day planner and I write down in the next week to follow up with that person. And then when I fold over to that page on that Wednesday of next week, I call them or I send them an email and I follow up. So I think those are like the two biggest ones, is check in mentally and then following up and making sure everyone is taken care of, because, they were alone for a long period of time. They were alone. Mm-hmm. Everyone was alone for a long period of time. We all just need to like remember that we're here for each other.
Yes, 100%. I think those are two really great points and things to remember. And yeah, like we can carry on with those, because I think, no matter what time we're in, I think that those are definitely key aspects to keep in mind. And now we are going to move into the Q&A portion of the event. So people can post their questions into the Q&A box, and you can upvote any questions that you'd like to be asked as well. Okay. So first question here is, what do you value most about Shred Shop's culture and vision?
Oh, this is a good question. What do we value most? So we embody here. And again, in my history, I was a Starbucks manager for 11 years, from 2005 to 2016. And there are a few values that I've taken from Starbucks, because Howard Schultz does customer service right. And if you go to Starbucks, you know that. We have a stop, drop, and serve policy here. So within 3 seconds, and it's mandatory, there's no excuse why it shouldn't happen. Within 3 seconds of a new member walking through the door, they are to be greeted, acknowledge that they've entered the facility. I've gone to too many places in my lifetime, and you need to understand, the people that are walking into a gym facility for a consultation or to check it out, they're about ready to make a huge change. 90% of them, they're probably at their most vulnerable that day. They're probably feeling a little self-shame or self-awareness that maybe they've gotten to a certain point where they now need to invest in a membership. Maybe they've never been to a gym before in their life and they're scared shitless to walk into your facility. There's a few things that are going through their heads all the time, and we need to be very responsive to that. So I value the fact that we promise every single human being that walks through our doors that you are greeted within 3 seconds of entrance. welcoming. That kind of goes hand in hand, right? We would be a very, very welcoming facility. I mean, no judgment, all those things, you know, that kind of go hand in hand with offering an incredible experience. And then lastly, all of our trainers, including myself, it's mandatory to be pre and postnatal certified. And we stay up to date on all of our certifications. We do back of house training, online, virtual, or in person with specialists. So we do market ourselves for women who are looking to get pregnant, actively pregnant, and postnatal, coming back to get back to where they were prior to the pregnancy, dealing with, you know, any postpartum, any side effects, any symptoms that might have happened during pregnancy. So we are kind of well-rounded in that world where we offer modifications. We keep you safe. A lot of women want to train, but they're unsure of what they should or shouldn't be doing. So we take the guesswork out for them. So I value that. I value that. Again, organically, we kind of evolved into this hub for women with child, about to be with child, post-child. We kind of evolved there just because my certification was very intriguing. It brought in a crowd, and then I insisted on all of us being certified. And now it's just kind of a thing. And I think it's great. That's something I really value. There's not a lot of group style where you have the motivation and not have to have just one-on-one. There's virtually none in the city where you can be in a group and have modifications on site for you in your pregnancy. So that's really big.
Absolutely. I think that's great to hear, and definitely so important. And it's great that that's, you know, integrated into your business, into the culture of it. And, you know, we talked a little bit about this. I know that you said this is something you're working on, but, you know, doing to help with work-life balance and sort of finding that middle ground. Do you have any advice on that?
What I struggle with is it must just be like FOMO, like fear of missing out. It literally must be, because when I'm at work, some days towards the end of my day, I just can't wait to get home. I can't wait. And then I get home and I sit on the couch. Do you know the ending of Finding Nemo, when they all finally escape and they're all in their little bags, and then they all jump and they land in the ocean, but they're still in Ziploc bags and they're all floating and they just look at each other like, now what? I feel like that's every afternoon for me. By the time I get on the couch, I just say, now what do I do? And I find myself like, oh, what are they doing in class? I'm like looking at the Instagram, I'm answering emails. So I think I struggle because I love it so much. And I'm so passionate about what it is that we're doing. And I'm so proud of my team. And I'm so, you know, excited for our members. But I need to find what I like to do that's not work. And personally, I've lost that. I don't remember what I love to do, because I love to work, because I made my passion my career. And I know I'm not the only entrepreneur that feels that way, that feels like, and I don't have children of my own, right? And I don't intend to have children. That's not been my dream. So I struggle with that. I struggle with, you know, what am I going to do when I come home from work? Eventually, these facilities are going to be rocking on their own, and I'll be able to take a step back. So for anyone who's kind of lost themselves, I think it's that self-care of like taking some time quietly, turning, again, we all preach this, but turning off your electronics and just thinking, like, rewind to before you had your business. What did you do? Like, what did you do? Right? I used to paint. I used to scrapbook. I used to do stuff. I just need to remember and get on it, and then carve out the time for it. So I think, again, it is my biggest personal growth project. 2022 is learn to balance more life with business. And like my fiance does, he has a daughter, but we get her part-time. And when we do have her, it's wonderful, but it's not a full-time position, right? And it's not my own child. So I'm not really on the hook for a lot. So it still leaves me with a lot of free time. So I think working on that, looking at the things that you liked to do, and just kind of making time for it. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like you said, can definitely relate to that. So I think that's a great advice on sort of how to get that first step in that direction. And our last Q&A question here before we have to wrap up is, you know, around staffing and sort of how you chose your staff, and, you know, they're going to be the ones representing the company. So a little bit about that process.
I staff personality and I teach talent. again, circling back to this whole conversation, it's been about customer service. It's been about client experience. I have multiple applications in my inbox, people that want to work here, overtrained, overqualified. But sometimes they're just not the right fit, right? This isn't much like Starbucks. It wasn't just serving coffee behind a bar. This is like being, as a trainer, you don't know, let me rewind here. As a trainer, you are filling a spot for someone in their life. They come to see you every single day. Maybe you're, a sister that they lost. Maybe you're a best friend that just moved away. Maybe you're a boyfriend that just broke up with them. Maybe you're a parent that is sick and can't spend time with them anymore. You don't know the void that you are filling. You don't know the role that you play in these people's lives. So I need to make sure that the people that I hire are people I would trust with my life. That's how I hire. Most of them have been clients who either one had some sort of background in personal training, in group training. Number two, have known us, trained with us, love what we do, understand our community, understand the values, really buy into how we run our business, how we treat our members. They see it on a daily basis. They felt it. So when I'm asking things of them on a daily basis, they're not confused as to how to do it because they know, because they've experienced it. And then they need to be people that I can stand to work with all the time. Like, right? If this is a family, if I'm building a family, we need to have similar values. And you just don't know that about someone through a resume that comes into your inbox. You don't know that. And then I'm very old school. So if someone's going to send me a virtual email and not take the time to knock on my door and shake my hand and meet me face to face, I'm not even acknowledging it. I'm not, because again, this is such a personal industry. If it didn't cross your mind to come and be personal with me, likely it's not a good fit. So I think for anyone, again, this is very industry dependent, right? It completely depends on the service that you're providing. I mean, some of you need someone with way more experience, and that's no hands down. For me, I can teach them. I can teach them exactly how I want it for them. I can get them certified. I can make sure they've got CPR training. That's not a problem. They need to be willing. They need to want this. They need to understand it, and they need to mesh well with the community. So I hire personality and I teach talent, and I have zero turnover rate. I have the same people that I've hired since day one. I pay them, not minimum wage, well above minimum wage, because sometimes it's hard to do. But if I'm asking for the service that I need to know that they feel like they're being compensated. And when people are being paid for what they feel they're worth, they're going to give you 100% of their worth every day at work. And that's a huge thing too. It's financially to pay everybody over $20 an hour as a small business during a pandemic in the fitness industry, not ideal at all. But does my staff grow my community on the daily because they bring their all to work, because they feel valued by me? Absolutely. So it's like, it's a no-brainer. Those would be. Does that answer? Did I get it all? Okay.
100%. No, I think there's so much great advice there. And thank you so much for sharing, Sawyer, and everyone who also put questions in the chat there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for a great conversation. And I'm going to pass it over to Myrtle.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sawyer. Sawyer, from the get-go, since the day I met you, you have been an energy, a force, and that comes through in everything that you say. The business plan you mentioned, everything that you've talked about, everything you speak, I see you actually living the life that you talk about. So that's exceptional. And in the 40 minutes that you've shared your story, shared information, there's so many takeaways. The chat was just going up and down with so much information. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the engagement. Like, holy crap, there's so many people watching and listening. Like, that's very humbling to me that so many of you give a crap what I have to say this morning. That's very, very, very kind. I appreciate it. I'm going to scroll through these. And if anyone wants to reach out to me directly or has any questions in addition, like outside of this, or wants to come see the facility or join into a complimentary class, like I just want the door to be open for anyone that's interested in getting to know me on a more personal level, please.
Yes. And I can attest to everything that you do at the center. I've been a proud member for the past year, so it's amazing. And everything Sawyer says, you will have an experience. It is a family. The community is great. Thank you, Sarah, for your time too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking the questions. I've copied and pasted a link in the chat box, and just want to thank both of you again so much for being here. On behalf of Founders Week YQG, we can't wait to celebrate your continued growth and success here in the WindsorEssex region. We have a quick survey for all of our attendees today, so please click on the link that's in the chat box there and to provide your feedback for the session. This will enter you for a session giveaway to win $50 Windsor card. The more sessions that you attend and provide feedback for, the more entries that you will have for the draw. All right, so please don't forget to check out our schedule for the rest of the week for upcoming events. Next up, we have leveraging branding and content across platforms to accelerate your business growth at 11 a.m. Also, we just want to ensure that you don't miss our Founders Week YQG Town Hall and Failure Night. So make sure that you add them to your schedule so you don't miss out. In case you missed, the Founders Week is offering a week of perks while quantities last. So please check out all of the fun and freebies that you'll have and to learn more. So thank you, everyone, again. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.